So we really say thank you to him, Jazakumullah khairan, and we will listen to a few blessing words from him, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan. Today is a wonderful day for me because of why. Reason is this institution is need to teacher training, especially for me, because this relation between child, parents, institution. So all the community will be benefit from this teacher training because.
Alhamdulillah, yes, learning never ends. Remember one thing, many of us, our beard gone white or grey, but that doesn't mean we have learned everything. And Prophet ﷺ became prophet at the age of 40. So Prophet ﷺ learning began at the age of 40. Are you understanding? Look at this, think about this properly. At the age of 40, he's a beginner. And at the age of 63, he completed his graduation. He completed his studies at the age of 63. And once a prophet's finished his graduation, he doesn't need to be in this world. They go back to Allah. So while he was learning, he was teaching. And he was progressing and improving everything and passing down everything to others. So we are learners and we will continue learning. Never think I'm an imam and I'm getting salary 50,000, so I don't need to learn anymore. No, that doesn't work. When you are a great person, you need to learn more and more to remain on that level. So inshallah, we will continue learning. And the best thing today, we have our education manager in the students line, and he was learning as well.
Jazakallah khairan, respected Muslim chairperson, our imams and teachers, and especially thanks to our trainer, Alhamdulillah.
4 or 5 other schools with curriculum design, with this kind of scenario, this is absolutely fine. But I know it's a completely different setting. So sometimes, if I say something that this doesn't work, we're here, just say it. The session is going to be pretty simple. You've got the pack marshal that's been printed out, so if there's anything that you don't understand, any words you don't understand, just tell me and we'll go through it. You don't have to wait till the end to tell me a question, just ask, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so further ado, we'll start. So the agenda for today is effective classroom management, rewards, positive relationships, knowing your children, inappropriate behaviour, and learning conversations, and restorative practice. Now, I'll try and go through all these sessions today. I think most likely we could do it, but I don't want to rush anything. I'd rather we have quality over quantity, but we'll definitely end with this one, which is probably the bit that we're trying to get to at the end. Okay, so as I go through it, we'll see. Now, teaching at a mosque is way completely different, but you guys have more issues than just being a mosque. You have kids who are different ages, they come from different backgrounds, they have different cultural stereotypes, they don't speak Bengali, they're from other parts, and the communication method may not be Bengali or English, it may be another language. So you have students who come over and they don't speak English or Bengali, but the neutral connection is the religion. So it's very difficult and it might be quite hard what happened. Sometimes as teachers, we try to teach the way we were taught, and things have moved on so much. So you have to look at is what is going on in the classroom and what is going on with your students individually. And ultimately, I can just tell you the ending of this right now will be your relationship with the students. If your relationship with the students is amazing, then you will have good relationships and outcomes with the students. Now, being a teacher is a really, really difficult job. It's not just results, it's not just the student learning and progressing. It's so much expectations. You have parents' expectations, you have your own expectations, and you have the students' expectations. To manage all of this, especially in this climate, is very, very difficult. So, like I said, bearing that in mind, I hope we can move forward. So, I just left this up here. A child will repeat a behaviour if it's being rewarded. A child will be less likely to repeat a behaviour if sanctions are issued. If there is no consistency with rewards and sanctions, then it's likely the child will continue to display an unwanted behaviour. And the more attention the teacher gives a child's behaviour, the most likely the behaviour will be repeated. So, some of these things apply to a secondary scenario with loads and loads of students. And obviously, for you guys, it may be 30 students, it may be 5 students, it's completely different. But when we use the word behaviour, there's different types of behaviour. There's good behaviour, there's bad behaviour, and they're just okay. They're not being bad or good. So you really need to think about is, what are you doing when there's good behaviour, something they've done, if there's bad behaviour, and if they're just doing okay. So just in your conversations with yourselves, what do you do with a student who doesn't do bad or good? How do you treat that student?
He's doing average.
He's just doing what he needs to do. 30 seconds, that's it. Have a conversation to yourselves. What do you do about that student who does the right thing? What do you do?
আপনি কি তা করেন যারা আপনি জেলা সাইন হলো চলে মানে একটা এক করো না করলাম না এরা কি তা করেন আপনি
Because of the changing.
You guys want to talk? You have to talk. You all have to
না
talk.
আপনারা কনভারসেশন করতে দুইজনে
You guys are all experts.
The question is that child is changing.
No, he's absolutely fine. He does everything you want him to do. It's not great, but it's not bad.
ভালো না বুড়ো না বাট করে যেতে তাও
দিয়ে দেন আরে আরো
ঠিক আছে
আগে কাজ করে
Genuinely, what do you do? Genuinely.
আচ্ছা
10 more seconds. Okay, so, thank you. So all I'm going to say is, you don't have to say anything if you're not comfortable. Sisters, if you're not comfortable, absolutely don't feel like you're saying anything. So let's start with
Can I share?
Super Chef.
Okay, me and Imam, we both with the Imam of the masjid. So what we do,
Double mouse.
we change the plan. So for example, let me give you an idea. For example, let's say we have set a target of 3 lines a day. And he's been doing it for the last 3 weeks. He's been doing 3 lines a day, he's memorizing it, presenting his work, doing well. So when we see he's ongoing regularly, he's presenting his work, we increase his target. We praise him and we give them certificates as well through our assemblies and we increase their target. So we say, all right, next target is 4 lines or 5 lines based on the child's ability. And Chef does that as well.
Brilliant answer. Anyone do anything different?
I think you can. What I do is I praise them. So I tell them like they're doing really well, and like Ustad said, I do increase the amount they're doing.
Target. Anything different here? No? Absolutely. If you're a student who's doing the right thing, then one thing you want to do is praise. Because what happens in a larger setting is these students, everyone leaves alone. Everyone looks at the really smart, you go, mashallah, he's really amazing. And the kid is not doing bad, you think, I've got to focus on him. There's all these kids in the middle who are doing brilliant. And they're doing everything you want them to do. And if you notice, is that there's a trend. If you really focus on just the bad behaviour, then all the other kids miss out. If you really focus on the kids with, who do all the learning you want them to do, then all the others miss out. The idea would be that you encourage what you want. So if the students are coming to your classroom and they're doing what you want, then that's definitely praiseworthy. So this is one thing the sister was saying, praise is probably the key component that we get. So effective classroom management. So effective behaviour management is based on the teacher's ability to successfully create a well-managed, structured classroom environment for the learning care of the kid. Teaching a number of children with different needs, behaviours and attention spans can be challenging. And however, when there's a positive learning culture created, the children will learn better because they will know what is expected of them. So if you share good expectations, which we'll cover in a second, we'll see, hopefully, that the behaviour is minimised. Bad behaviour is minimised. So a well-managed classroom, so you begin the year with a set of rules and routines which will be understood by all children. Have agreed rewards and positive reinforcements, have set sanctions for misbehaviour, and have a selection of options for dealing with disciplinary problems, make use of their physical space, have well-planned lessons, and encourage respect and develop positive relationships. So with this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing your goal is for. So sometimes when we get into a heated argument with a student, we've already lost. You have to understand, if you've got into an argument with a student who may be half your age, a quarter of your age, you've already lost. And ultimately you've got to think is, why are you having an argument with a child? Yeah? Why are you having an argument with a child? there should be no arguments. It could be that you're not impressed by that behaviour and you can talk about that behaviour, but it shouldn't be enraged to the point that you can't see straight. If it's gone that far, then you have to take a step back. So what you need to work on, I don't know anyone here, it's really good, easy for me, is what you have to work on is take a step back. And when you see bad behaviour, give yourself a second to say, what are you going to say? Don't just say something.
Think before you speak.
Think before you speak. Because what you say may fix the situation temporarily, but in the months and weeks to come, that child will not forget. Yeah? How you say something will absolutely leave an impression. If you think back to maybe someone when you was younger spoke to you a certain way, and we're a lot older now, mashallah, you're going to remember that conversation still. So you've got to think is, where did it go wrong and what are you giving sanctions for? So the reason I said this is sometimes you've got to take a step back, and as a mosque or as a learning centre you have to work out is we're all going to have the same rules. We're all going to say the same thing and we're going to give the same sanctions. My rules can't be different from his rules and your rules can't be different from the Imam's rules. Everyone has to act the same way.
Follow the same thing.
Follow the same thing. Whether you have a good relationship with the student or a bad relationship with the student. But ultimately, every student, and this is the one thing I've learned over my time, every student should have one person in here that they can speak to. One person in here should be able to be a champion for that student. If you don't have a good relationship, then the Imam should have a good relationship. If you don't have a good relationship with that student, someone else should have a good relationship. No child in your place should feel they can't speak to you. You don't have to be best friends, and you shouldn't be best friends, but you need to look at your relationship with the student. Sure. Again, so rules create clear expectations for children and need to define what is acceptable behaviour. They must be reinforced on a regular basis and placed in a visible place on the classroom wall. So you may have it on your door, you may have it in every lesson where you tell the students what you want, what you expect from them, and include children in developing the rules, and this will give them ownership, and when they will be more likely to accept the terms and conditions and therefore comply. What you're looking for is compliance. You're looking for the same routine every single time. When they go into your classroom or your learning space, what do they do? Because as soon as they walk through the door, your environment is being interacted with. So, very, 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 very easy task, I'm sure. Let's create a behaviour rules, and it's not easy. Okay, so you have not 10 minutes, you have 5 minutes just to say, what would you, if you were to run your what would be your behaviour rules for your students? Feel free to write down, we can share some ideas.
Classroom management, yeah?
Classroom management. What is your classroom rules? What would it be?
Sitting plan.
It could be, you can have a seating plan. I'm not going to tell you right and wrong, you all have to write this down because you're all in charge.
We write it down.
You can write it down, you can write notes on the side. But what would be your rules for your classroom? It's your classroom, what are your rules?
No, show the level, no? Our classroom or rule kita our classroom or behavior kita.
What do you expect from the students?
So how many? At least five rules.
5 minutes.
Some classroom rules.
Yeah, what would be your classroom rules? Then no one's got a wrong answer unless I say it's wrong. What would be your rules? You can work together, you don't have to do it by yourself. So as soon as the students walk in, what do you want from them? Just to help the rest of the class. You want to go for it? Tell me your rules.
Alhamdulillah. I have written some classroom rules. Number 1, a sitting plan, nicely. Second, if you talk, raise your hands. Third, show good manner or good behavior at all times. Number 4, respect each other. Number 5, no bullying in the classroom.
Fantastic. Can you underline number 3 for me? Very good answers. You ready, Sheikh? I like it, Sheikh. I like your competitive nature. Go for it.
Okay, so based on my students and based on what subject I teach,
Sure.
and I'm actually with a normal classroom, So sitting plan definitely. Start learning your task. So every day I'm setting tasks for next day. So as soon as they come, we expect them to start reading without looking around.
Can you underline that one for me?
The number 2, yeah?
Sure.
Okay. No talking to other students, because in our class it's just memorizing Quran. So there is no need for explanation. So we don't expect them to talk. Okay, learn and present the work as quickly as possible, because they have to memorize it and present it to the teacher. So they have to come one at a time to the teacher. So we expect them to present the work as quickly as possible. And also, in my classroom, I use this. Do not go home without learning anything.
Sure.
So even if it's one line, I expect the child to say that one line.
Perfect. Can you underline number 4 for me?
Number 4.
We can share. Anyone else wants to share? There's no pressure to share, but feel free. Go for it.
Yes, basically most of this point is common. So I have extra point, 10 minutes break in the class. We do our
So
sums.
when they walk in, they get 10 minutes break straight away.
2 minutes an hour.
So when they walk in the door, they get 10 minutes straight away.
As soon as they come in, will they get break?
No.
break
No, just I'm going to mention on the other.
Oh, okay, the different ones. Okay,
Different
sure.
ones, yeah.
Okay,
It's
sure. So come on.
Sitting plan,
Sure.
no side talking,
Sure.
quiet uniform, bringing quiet book and correct grade.
Okay, sure. Can you underline that for me? The correct uniform, the correct book. Yep. Anyone else? Sisters, do you want to share? Only there's no pressure.
They're all the same, but the only different one I wrote is not talking during lesson time, so same as that.
No talking.
Because they have to memorize.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, if that's the expectation, then that's it. Anyone else want to share anything different?
I have to share one thing. So lesson plan really important. A teacher must, before every lesson, must plan.
There must
The
be
tutor in
planning.
my class how to teach, how to learn.
Sure.
It's really important.
Fantastic. And that's actually a very, very important question. Yeah.
And then
After every lesson, putting the date.
For the date,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, that's a good.
If something he learned today, then putting the date. Then next date, if maybe I am a teacher, I'm come tomorrow.
Sure.
Someone come and
Don't know
teach
what
them.
they've done.
He knows yesterday the date is finished. Then next started.
Fantastic, I like that. Do you want to share that?
and then homework.
Homework check, fantastic. And okay, well, if anyone else is happy with this, sorry.
That's short. Number 1 is setting plan. Then good organized in the classroom.
Sure,
Number 3 is good behavior child.
sure.
Start learning. Not loudly talking. And behavior yourself. And good learning.
Fantastic. You're all really, really good answers. Okay, so I'm going to go with your first one that I told you to underline was good behaviour. Now, we all want good behaviour. Okay, so I'm going to say to a 5-year-old, I want you to behave well. And I go to another 5-year-old, I want you to behave well. And go to another 5-year-old, I want you to behave well. Then I'm going to go to a 15-year-old and say, I want you to behave well. So, are they all going to behave well, or do they not know what I mean?
Different ages, they understand in different ways.
Absolutely.
Why is good this is behavior to them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, in my home, the behavior of my son will be different from the behavior of your children in your home. So there has to be some clarification of what is good behavior.
What is your expectation? Yeah.
So the clarification of this. As an adult, we have all this experience of what is good behavior, but as a child, it might not be clear what is good behavior. At home, jumping on the sofa is good behavior, okay, for some parents. Other parents, it's not good behavior, and they must sit down quietly. So when they come to the mosque, and the teacher says, I want good behavior, he's used to jumping on the sofa, so if he's jumping and you tell him off, he's very confused.
To him, it's good behavior.
To him, it's good behavior. My parents never told me off for this, why are you telling me off? So you need to clarify what you mean by good behavior. Sheikh, I told you to highlight number 4.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 4, learn and present your work as quickly as possible.
Okay, so learn and quickly present it possible. Now, again, this is just from me teaching a range of people, and obviously everyone here has got lots of experience of teaching many, many years and different stuff. Is what happens though if a student doesn't remember?
Doesn't remember to start their work.
Well, he does the work, but when you tell him to come, he doesn't know.
What I do.
It's a very sensitive topic. Reason why it's sensitive is because one, there's the expectation that child learns, and and at the time, because you're going through emotion, you have to think, if the student didn't get it, am I going to make him feel bad, or am I going to praise him, or did he not put the effort in? That's three complete different scenarios. If that student did well, mashallah, he did really well, next 3 months. If he doesn't do well, because of the moment of you have to go through 15 or 20 different kids, why have you not learned this? It's such a simple task, so on. Now he's going to walk away, or she's going to walk away, not feeling good about themselves. And sometimes, actually this is most of the time, students don't make the effort. So are you going to now berate him in front of the whole class that he didn't make the effort? I don't want you to answer this question. This is something you have to self-reflect and think, what do you do at the moment? And this is some of the things that teachers always fall short because of the pressures of the time and the pressures of, I need to get through every student. So berating a student, as in shouting at a student or making the student feel bad in front of the whole class because he understands. Because we're very good at praising, but we have to work on the behaviour of students who don't get what we wanted. Okay? I think I said one more on the line, Sheikh.
Yes. Start learning your set task.
Start learning a set task.
Yeah.
That's an excellent one. If you clarify what you want them to learn, then they know what to learn. You need to, the whole point of this is you're working with young people who need clarification in every single aspect for everything. So what did you want them to learn? Was it too much? Was it too little? And if they put the effort in again, but you need to clarify what you want them to learn. And then if they need help, they need to be able to come to you and say, Ustad, Sheikh, I need help. And if they can't come to you, if they're too scared, then clearly they're not going to do well, and then the behaviour will decline of yourselves and of the students. And ultimately, they will not attend your mosque. So there's one thing to look at. Now, you've got your 5 examples, and this is some top tips for what your classroom rules should look like. And I would suggest that everyone gets together, comes out with a suggestion like you did today, and make one, if you don't already have one, for all your classes. That's exactly the same. So I would say, when designing your classroom rules, they should be clear, they should be enforceable, they should be comprehensive, so kids are clear. Write the rules in a positive way and avoid using don't, for example. I will walk sensibly around. I will not speak during recitation time. Children require understandable directions, hence the rules need to be specific and explainable. Displaying the class rules, go over them with the children on a regular basis. Now you might have said it every lesson, I'll tell you every lesson. I work in a great school, the kids are naughty in general, in my class there's some issues obviously, but in general, every week I maintain the rules again and again and again and again and again. And in most successful schools, which I know in Hackney and loads of successful schools, is there's no behaviour issues because they keep explaining every lesson, this is what I expect. And if you keep doing that, then what's going to happen is that the kids will know and they walk into the lesson, this is what I expect. And if you do it in a nice tone and not in a threatening tone, they're going to be more encouraged than discouraged. And most kids want praise. You have to think the whole day. You've gone the whole day, you've gone to school, you've had breakfast, you've gone to school, you've had a long day, you come home, you had something quickly to eat, you've gone to the mosque, and in each section of the day you may have got told off all the way through. Or you got no praise. So the mosque shouldn't be a place, I don't think, that they should be scared to come. And if they can get any praise, it's good. It will do their self-esteem good. But again, we'll clarify, don't praise everything. You have to find something that you've done. And it has to be positive. But praise is probably your most important thing that you can do to change a situation in the classroom. Okay? And again, we have so many different types of learners. We have kids with SEN needs, okay, who have so many issues behind them. And no two kids with SEN are the same. There's so many breadth. And you're not going to be the master of them all. You can't be the master of them all. But you can be the master of a good relationship. And if you can work on your relationship, then you will literally reduce the amount of behaviour issues you have. You'll definitely have something at one point, but you'll definitely reduce it. And they will listen to you. And that's one thing to think of. Okay, should we take a 5-minute break?
Yes,
Okay.
inshallah.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
There are teas and coffees outside, sisters, brothers. Inshallah, go have your tea and coffee, inshallah. The water is ready.
We have break after 10 minutes. Something is
I got told to carry on for 10 minutes.
Shall I make it for you?
No, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
after 10 minutes, 10 minutes for it. I'm not break 10 minutes for it.
That's good. That's good. That's fine.
We'll carry on for 10 more minutes, okay? Sorry if you've got a bit intense. I'm just trying to make sure everyone understands as we're going along, okay? So,
So can I ask a question?
absolutely, yes.
You know, you were saying that reminding about the rules, classroom rules to remind the students. So how long would you say to remind them? Like months or the whole year?
I think as you're going through, at least once a week. And when they walk through a classroom, you can just turn around and say, when you listen, they come in and go, boys, what's the rules for today? And they'll tell you.
Yeah.
If they tell you, it's over. And it's less than 30 seconds. You don't have to make it into a thing. If they walk in and you say to the young ladies, you can say, girls, what are the rules for today? And they say, oh, I'm not allowed to talk. Mashallah, well done. I've got 3 more rules. Good, tell me the other rules. Everyone tells the rules, and everyone in the classroom is clear. And if you just, to be honest with you, the more you do it, the less you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you will know when your class is the way you want it. So just keep doing it.
You know, you were also saying that obviously we should have a rule for everyone follows as well. Can we have slightly change it and have our own rules too for our own class?
Okay, so this is completely. I would say it's very difficult to do that because you need to be consistent. If let's say for example, there's a sister, I've got a sister and a brother, and the brother's in this sheikh here, and the sister goes there. They both did the same thing. They both go home have 2 different versions of what happened to them. So the sanctions have to be similar. The sanctions have to be exactly the same. The sanctions must be the same. But how you treat that child individually is completely different. If a kid is constantly talking, but you know that's his need, and there's another kid who doesn't have a need and he's talking, you've got to change and give allowances and chances. And if you're going to, let's say, I don't know what the rules are here, but let's say a student is constantly talking, you told him to stop, you can give him a sanction, we can talk about that afterwards. And then you can give him a chance to take the sanction off. But if it's a constant one, you have, like I said, you can go in there and be heavy as you like, but the outcome down the line is that it's over, your relationship is ruined. Okay? The more you give them chances, the more likely you will have a better relationship on the long run. On that time period, I know you're very angry and annoyed, but you have to think long term. Okay? You have to think as well, and this is just my opinion. I work in a boys' school, majority Muslim school in Newham, and I say to them, who's their best teacher? Very rarely would they say the most teacher. Very rare. So you've got to think why that is. All the pressures in school. They've been talking about GCSE from the age of 4. Every day, GCSEs, and the pressure to get GCSE results. The mosque should be a bit more of a, this is a different, not completely, like there has to be learning, there has to be progress, but it should be a different environment. And that's where you have to think is, do you want the mosque students to be lifelong learners, or do you want them in and out like a school in 2 years, 1 year, 3 years? And I think ultimately you want lifelong learners, and you want good relationships. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, the Sheikh will know, I didn't send my son here until very recently. And the reason I sent my son here was, I think the Sheikh was unwell, had a holiday, mashallah, and these 3 young students led the salah. And I thought, amazing, these kids are amazing. This must be the most amazing place ever. So I cancelled my son and brought my son here, because of the kids here, mashallah. So what you have to see is that this only works because of your students. The more students you bring in, the more it will carry forward. And the kids are the ones that go home. The kids are the ones that go home. If they have a good lesson, they will never speak about it at home, very rarely. If they get praised, they might try and scream points with their parents and go, Dad, guess what I did today? If mum said I did amazing. So his dad's like, mashallah, okay, my boy's good. But if he had a bad lesson, he had a bad time, I'm telling you he's going to go home and tell the parents straight away. Okay? So you've got to think, your students, are they going home saying bad stories more often or good stories more often? Yeah? Yes.
How do you, so if a student is misbehaving in class,
Sure.
but you don't want to how do you manage so that it's not disrupting other students, but this child has a need where they need to talk and they're disrupting the lesson, but it's because they have behavioural.
Okay, if that's their need, I think the class will be aware that's their need.
But then it disrupts other students in the class as well.
Sure, but what you have to do is manage the expectations of the rest of the class. If clearly this student has a need, the rest of the class will know he has a need. And if he's always talking and you tell him he's talking, then you're going to have to manage that. He's not going to be quiet for you, or she's not going to be quiet for you, because they just physically can't, because that's their need, right? You're saying that's their need. And the rest of the class must understand, as human beings, that every single person is different. And some things are exceptions because of his needs. Now, if he's just playing up, then you need to follow expectations. And if he's going so far forward, you need to think about is, have you spoken to the student? Have you spoken to his parents? And what is the engagement like with the class? Is that okay? But I can't give you an answer for every single behaviour that goes wrong. You have to work it out yourselves, because there's so many things that can happen. Okay? Social media, something happened in social media, something happened at home, all these things can affect the behaviour. And I would say is predictable routines. You don't want to have an essay of rules. You want to have maximum 10 things or 6 things. The less you have that you can summarize and make it clear, the easier it will be for the students. Okay? So you can't have, like I said, you can't have 100 different rules. The kids will not know. Have something easy, 5, 6, 7, but clear rules. And you've got to think is, when they come into this place, it needs to be a learning atmosphere. I mean, I'm telling you to be nice, but at the same time, there needs to be progress. And sometimes people confuse learning and progress. If a student learns, let's say 6 lines, and another student learns 3 lines, by the end of the session, they both made progress.
True.
Yeah? You happy with that?
Yeah.
Now, a parent's expectation is that their child will be at Hafiz in 1 year, but the reality may be that child does not get to that level in 1 year. It may take time. So you have to manage the progress of the student. And you have to change the language, if you're not already doing so, to progress. With what progress, if you were saying, have they made by the end of the session? And if they made some progress, praise. If they made no progress, then you need to, 1, adapt your lesson, or 2, find out why they didn't make progress, if it's too hard or they didn't make the effort. Now, most likely, you are very good teachers here. You did your right thing, you've done the adaptiveness of your lesson, if they didn't make the effort. So you need to speak to them in a positive way. It's like, 1, I was really expecting good things from you today. What happened? What was wrong? You might say, I didn't try. If he says I didn't try, all you have to do is say, well, it's okay. Everyone's allowed to, it's a bad day for you, but tomorrow's going to be a better day. I want you to practice. Because you don't want him to walk away with the day being ruined. Your relationship can't be hammer all the time. It just can't be. Because the kids will vote with their feet and they'll just leave. You'll come to GCSE, well, I've got to work on my GCSEs now. Mosque is too difficult. You've got to think is what are we trying to achieve? We achieve is long-term learners who have good relationships with the mosque. Sure. And I'll just go through this praise. So praise is probably the only thing you need. Okay? Praise. When educators give genuine praise, it is specific, it's spontaneous, and well-deserved. It encourages continuous learning and decreases competition among children. So with boys, we find there's competition is always good, but no one wants to be last. No one wants to feel terrible. So you need to really figure out is, don't praise everything. You have to find something they've done or they're doing during the lesson. You may have a student that you're giving him 3 lines, by the end of the 2 hours, he's not going to know the 3 lines. He's just not going to know. But you can see that when he's trying, you go, MashaAllah, look at you, you're making the effort today. That's his praise for the day. Another student who learned his lines, you're amazing. Yeah? But you have to find what the reason why you gave it. You can't just say, MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
What was that to everyone?
Well done to everyone. You have to find a specific action throughout your 1 hour or 2 hour lessons of what they've done. And I'm telling you, the praise will help you more than anything. The praise will help you in progress because they want to impress you. Yep. I got really good praise. Oh, so I'll go home. I got great praise today. I did this really well. Dad's happy. Everyone in the house is calm. Next lesson, Dad goes, well done, son. The boy goes, right, I'm not doing great in school, but in the mosque I can do this. Goes back the next day, tries again, tries again, tries again. Now, every lesson will not be fantastic. I'm not going to say that. But if he goes home talking about how positive his day was, or how his day ended on a positive, because the last place he went to was the mosque, then he's going to have a good relationship with you guys. Let's take a break. Yeah.
So yes, we'll go for a break, brothers and sisters. There are some food outside, inshallah, we'll share with you, inshallah. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Which masjid are you from? Bishop's Way, mashallah. Maulana, which masjid are you from? Roman Road, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, Ustad.
Mashallah.
Road Murshid Farai.
I know very ভবিষ্যতে ট্রেনিং আরো বেড়ে
Dilaita ada baca tu sahaja.
Any questions, please ask. Just where we left off, praise. Praise is probably, like I was saying, it's your best friend. In every situation, praise is your best friend. Even in real life, praise and being nice can't go wrong. So make sure you define appropriate praise. So I was saying, please don't give praise for no reason. Find a reason to give the praise, but don't just go out like everything. Okay?
Switch off the volume to get the disturbance.
So. Let's cross there. That should be it.
If you switch off the volume, so notification coming up, it's not going to disturb us.
I think we should be okay.
You should be done.
Yeah, we should be okay. Like I said, do not give praise continuously without a reason. So as Monta said, give praise. It seems like I'm saying the opposite now. I'm not. You have to work out when it's due and think, who are you praising and what are you praising them for? So find a reason to praise. I know it says don't give praise continuously or without a reason, but try to find a reason, okay? It could be just like if they had a new prayer cap on, mashallah, you look the part today. That could be it for the day, okay? But find something to praise, because your relationship with the student is more important to start your learning. If the student's on the defensive as you walk in, then they're not going to make any progress, because all the time, this imam hates me, this teacher doesn't like me, he's blocked, he's not going to learn anything. He's too busy focused on the hate that he has. You have no idea that he hates you, because he's not going to tell you. He's not going to. Okay? So you have to think the same way. Okay? Rewards. So rewards are one of the key aspects that a lot of people use these days, and the rewards are very important. Okay, they don't always have to be financial. You don't have to spend loads of money. You notice with the younger kids, stickers or things like this, they really like. Okay, and I don't think you should spend lots of money on this kind of stuff, but you should look at rewarding students. How you said, in assemblies or have evenings, telling their parents and so on. There's different kinds of things that you can do. And they thought the basic human behaviour and motivation can be used effectively to encourage children. And this is where you should look at your students who are not progressing so well, or the students who, like I started off with, the student who doesn't do anything good but nothing bad. He just does his thing. This is your chance to say you appreciate it by showing the reward and highlighting that he's consistently good, or she's consistently good, or she consistently follows the values of your classroom. And always go back to your values of your classroom. So you can say they walked in and they've done their work and today we're going to learn. You can say your learning today, your progress today is what's made you achieve this. If they sat down quietly and they did something straight away, you can say the quiet reflection time you did today because of your second rule, well done. If you always go back to your values, then the kids will know what you're talking about and why they do it. So the values are very important. And younger children will desire different rewards than older children. Again, please don't spend lots of money. There's no PlayStations, there's none of this kind of stuff. You need to make it simple and continuous. If you go too far with rewards, then it's an expectation. So you have to keep it simple and fun because, ultimately it's a progress and ultimately you're going to end up paying for it. So you've got to think, what can I do continuously and that's not going to cause a major effect on budgets. I know it's a must and you probably have millions of pounds, you probably have to think about his budgets and what you can do consistently.
Can I share something?
Sure.
One of my students a few years ago came to class. He was a year 9 student. He was doing really good in his maths in his school, and his teacher gave him a pencil. On the pencil, he was like a times table. One time, 2 times, 3 times, all of those. And he was really happy. He came to the madrasa, brought the pencil and showing all his students, including me, to the teacher. He was showing that my miss gave me this because I was really good in maths. So a pencil might cost 50p, but the happiness, that's priceless.
Absolutely. Yeah. A pencil, a pen, a rubber. We always think we have to buy these expensive things. We really don't. It's just something that they show that you appreciate them and they can show that off. And when it's something tangible, like a certificate, or like a pen, or something, a sticker, or a badge, these things constantly are a reminder to them. And you might notice it throughout the day, like, oh, that pen for the mosque. And so on. Now, you're back to doing some work now. Okay, so you have a couple of minutes. When do you give a reward, and why do you give a reward, and what are the types? So we kind of said some stuff here. So this time we've only got 2 minutes. But just for time's sake, I'm going to go through these parts. Why do you give rewards? What do you why do you give reward? When do you give reward? What are the types?
You should do it individually or in the pairs.
Good listening. Whatever makes you like. Good learning. It's not meant to be stressful for you.
Alright, then let's do it. Guys, listeners. Take the only reward with a very good aside.
If we think about Friday, what am I doing?
When you're learning good.
But you can't give reward. When it's praise, you can praise. But reward is something that you want to be.
Class the children to the end of the class, the school Salin naam ki sukta. Sama class de मतलब certificate मतलब present thara attendance. তারপরে তোমার ওই গুড রিক্রুটমেন্ট অ্যাসেসমেন্ট অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স তারপরে listening behavior যেটা লেখা classroom management, class related. আপনি মক্তবের বাচ্চারা কি জন্য প্রেজেন্ট দেন? attendance এর ক্ষেত্রে প্রেজেন্ট আছে। স্কুলে attendance এর প্রেজেন্ট helping others. আমরা সেটা লাভ করে helping others.
Good behavior under
okay, 30 seconds.
What?
Listen.
For example, when you discuss teachers, there's so many one nation
education, that's the best.
but you want to
10 seconds.
There's initiative, come on, helpful.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Took us 10 seconds over. Okay, so when do you give a reward? So just
So for myself, whenever they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do in terms of giving in all their work.
so do you give a, sorry, I'm just going to be blatant here. Do you give a pen every week?
No.
So there's a difference. I've heard the chef actually say there's a difference between praise and reward. Okay. So when would you give a reward? Because praise, we're just going to agree we're going to give it all the time.
one time.
We're going to do our best. Okay. We're going to say this kid's going to have the best time here. I don't care what's going on with me. I don't care if I didn't have dinner. I don't care if I argue in my house. When I come to work, everyone's going to get praise. We've got that. We won. What are you guys going to do for reward?
For attendance.
For attendance. Okay.
Sustained, when good behavior is sustained for a long period of time, you may.
Perfect behavior. Sorry, is this?
Yeah, so what I do is that I do the memory system. For example, if like people say if you sustain, so if they learn a surah dua, I give them like a memory. So I don't give them the prize, and then I have to start the week at the end of the, on Fridays. So I give them a little prize, it can be a surah pen or whatever, or something like that.
Absolutely.
So I do that, and so I'm not always giving a prize, and then so they look forward to the Friday as a golden time. And then just for like if they do really good with the surahs, with the dua, or if they follow the rules, then I give them a memory.
Fantastic. So that, what do you want to say, Chef?
Attendance.
Attendance. So okay, so attendance is a big one that we like to encourage, and it sounds great. But on a bigger picture, it's not a nice one to give, because what if the kid was genuinely ill?
True.
Yep. What if the kids are never the problem? It's the adult. What if the adult's lazy like me and drops his son off late, or takes a day off here? I'm going to go to a holiday. Now the kid did nothing wrong.
Sure.
So you have to think about the attendance one. Okay? I'll leave you guys. Attendance is a good one. It's, as much as I said something negative about it, it has to be thought through. If you know he was unwell, you have to pretend he attended. Okay? So you've got to think about the attendance one. That one's a bit of a tricky one.
I think we count this one. Notified attendance, notified absence, we count it as a present, isn't it?
No.
Yeah? We don't count it as a present, okay.
So like I said, this is something to think about. And hopefully today is just things to think about.
Could you give reward for like, so in my classroom we have quizzes
Sure.
with the older girls, so we do quizzes and then at the end of it, the group that wins, I give them chocolate.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Again, just because I work in school, we don't give chocolates because all these crazy allergies out there. So you have to figure out, are you going to kill the kid by giving him a room? So you have to figure this out, okay? Yes, sir.
For example, every student something weakness. Then
Yeah.
some specify, okay, you not reading properly and all that. Yes.
Sure.
If you do whole week is good reading, good practicing, then end of the week I give something reward.
Okay,
Because
fantastic.
specific reason.
Perfect. So I like it. You looked at something specific, they're not doing very well, you're going to say, listen, you work on that one for the whole week, I'm going to reward you. Now, the hit and
When
win.
someone remind him or her, remember, if you get reward, if you want to get reward, then don't do that.
Fantastic. Now, the only problem with this one is a great plan, is you have to think, is it something sustainable to do every week? Yep. Because you have maybe 30 students, maybe 5 students, maybe 1 student, and let's just say the reward is £5, never make it money, but let's just say you give it £5, every week you're going to give him £5. You have to think, what is sustainable and what can you do? That's why I'm saying something small, but meaningful, and something they have to try to achieve. So systems, we're talking about merit systems. So this week you do very good. Every session I give you 1 sticker in your book. You're not going to remember how many stickers you gave. That's why the book is important. If you put a sticker in there or give it a tick, you can count the ticks and you can say, right, if you get 30 ticks, that's a month or a term. If you get whatever we come up with at the end of the term, you're going to get this reward, or we will praise you. The praise and telling the parents is much more important than wherever you're going to buy. Yeah? Their parents, them showing the parents that this is my opportunity to show my parents have been good, will be more effective than anything else you do. But you have to get them there, and you've got to want them to get there. So you have to build this thing up as much as you can. Okay? So this is one of the things you have to do. Okay. So there we go. So some examples here. It's in your pack, so you don't have to write this stuff down. So it's immediate, consistent, achievable, fair. There's a social reward, there's a tangible reward, there's an activity. And examples of rewards are tokens, raffle tickets, special days, certificates, free time, position, responsibility. So let's just say that lesson they did really, really well. You can say they normally have 5 minutes playtime. You do this today, 10 minutes for you. Okay? You can do small things that don't cost you anything, but you're going to do it anyway. Like, inshallah, you're saying 10 minutes of break. You say to them, today you only get 5 minutes, we start off the lesson. Halfway through the lesson, you guys were amazing today, I'm going to give you extra 5. Praise was already planned. Okay? So you really need to work on this, yeah? A phone call, this is probably the one that nobody does. You guys might be, but this is the one. The relationship you can build with a parent or carer will be the most important one.
Phone call.
The phone call. But nobody does it. Or everyone does it poorly. Even in state schools. They'll be quick to give a kid a negative, but they won't call the parent to explain why. So one thing to manage the behaviour we'll cover that hopefully in time, will be if you are going to say something that's negative to the student, if you then speak to the parent afterwards, I know it's your own time, if you speak to the parent afterwards why you're giving negative, that behaviour will most likely will not repeat itself. And that student will think, man, my parent knows straight away. Or you can text, wherever it is. And you want, or if you see the parent, you can explain it. Because your negative conversations will be so low that when you do this, it should be rarely that you do this. And the positive should be all the time. And remember at the same time, if you've got a kid that you were saying that doesn't do great and then they did really well, phone call home. This is great stuff to do. This is the most important one. All these things are great, but this is the most important one. Okay?
The phone call for both positive and negative for both.
Yeah. I mean, if they done exceptionally well, if you're going to give, like I said, Mr. Zach said, give everyone praise. So give everyone praise. You're not going to ring everyone at the same time. You have to manage what are you praising. And if they say exceptional, then ring home and say exceptional. If they've done something they struggled with, like 2-3 weeks, they're just not getting it. And then they finally get it, ring home and say, look, I'm so proud of you, blah, 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 blah. And he'll come into the session next time with a more approachable manner, hopefully, inshallah.
Sure.
Okay, hopefully. Okay, and again, positive relationships. The heart of effective behaviour management is building positive relationships with children. This allows the teacher to connect to the children and form a strong foundation from which behavioural change can take place. If you, like I said, you probably yourself when you're young, you've got to think, how was you like as a child? You might have been, I'm sure you were all good students, but I was an awful student. But I was really nice to one teacher because he was really nice to me. And he wasn't nice to me because there was mutual respect. It was because he encouraged me, he made me feel good. When I went to the lesson, I was like, I'm going to impress that teacher. He wasn't the coolest teacher ever, but for some reason, all the students liked him. So you've got to think is, why do the students like this person? He's not any different. It's because of the encouragement and a positive relationship. Yep, and the positive relationships are probably key to every aspect. So when children, as they enter the classroom, ensure all children understand what is expected of them, create a positive environment, show interest in each child's family, talents, goals, engage with the children during lunchtime and playtime, treat each child with respect, share success with the class, lead by recognizing their strengths that every child has a ability to learn and achieve, and involve the children in making decisions regarding rules, activities within the classroom. So again, I know I really said this very, very quickly. If I need to slow down, feel free, but it's in your handout. So just for time's sake, some parts that are self-explanatory that we can go through. But again, like I was saying, praise and relationships go hand in hand. Okay? Treat each child with respect and never embarrass or ridicule. And this is one I think culturally we may fall short on. Yeah? This one here. You can't make fun of kids in front of everyone else. I know you didn't mean it. You definitely didn't mean to do that. You definitely didn't mean to do it. You didn't think about it. You just told him off. And then you might say along the lines, you always do this. You may say like, oh, you have this terrible behaviour. Why can you not be more like Yusuf? These are the things you definitely cannot say. And if you want to say something negative, talk to him outside. Yeah? Or her. Talk to him outside. I'll tell you, I taught this young girl when she was in year 7. And I told her off once in year 7. in year 13, 7 years later, she reminded me that she didn't like me for 6 years because I told her off in year 7 in front of the class. And she held that for X amount of years. I had no idea. We had many conversations. I talked for many, many years. And before she left, she reminded me that she wasn't happy with me for 6 years because I embarrassed her in front of the whole class. And for me, I didn't even think about it. I said it, I done. It didn't even register that I embarrassed her. So you have to really be careful of when you're talking to students, is what do you do and how you do it. Okay? Remember I said, don't lose your temper. It's nothing that you should. Unless it's something dangerous, then obviously, but if it's not dangerous and just to learn something or just talking, you can't be shouting, you can't be losing your senses because of this. Okay? So you have to think of how you conduct it. Plus, these are not your children.
Yes.
These are not your children. These are not your children. Let's just clarify that. These are not your children. How you address your children is, I'm not even going to go there. But how you address somebody else's children, you really need to think about that. Okay? And some parents may take issue with the way you talk to them, and rightly they should.
Okay. Yeah, I want to share in this point. Sure. A teacher should know the psychology really important. Okay, most teacher is really fail about their psychology.
Sure.
Student, teach. Yeah. When the teacher doesn't understand the psychology of the students, a teacher must be failed about teaching.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, there is. Yeah. It's a very. Your job is one of the hardest jobs there is. Okay, you're trying to be a teacher, which is ridiculously hard. You're trying for him to learn. You want him to choose to learn. You want to make the parents happy. You want to make everyone else in the classroom happy. And it's just a lot going on.
Plus, you have to be a role model.
Plus, you've got things to do in your own life. You have all these things going on. You know when this goes home, you've got to sort out your own children or your own family. You may have issues with your niece, nephew, so on and so forth. But at that moment, it doesn't matter. So when you come in, you have to be the professional and you have to be the grown-up, because the reason you're so wise is because you lived a long time. They haven't lived that long. They don't know. Or they need excuses. Okay? So, effective entry into the class, and this is probably clear. How you start your lessons is how your lessons will go. If it's a mock and a mess, if you're, like I was saying to you, the quick fix will be that they have a consistent routine. Okay? The consistent routine will be you don't say anything. They walk in, assalamu alaikum, sit down, and they do a task straight away. So if this is where you should look at your curriculum, but it could be something that they instantly start reading or read a dua straight away, and they all do it. So if there's a learning dua, sorry if I don't know what the duas, if there's a learning dua that you want to learn, they all sit down and they all recite it. One, they know what to do straight away, they're all engaged. There has to be something, so they walk the door. In schools, it's called a do now, and when they walk into the classroom, they have a worksheet and they work on the worksheet straight away, right? Now, it doesn't have to be something very difficult, it's just so they know when they walk in, they're doing something straight away. There's no need for put your coat here, put this here, be quiet, you, stop talking, you, leave the football alone. There's no need. They know when they walk in, they've got something to do. But that has to be something you plan and something you put in front. But it can't be something difficult. If they have to ask you the question of, I don't understand this, it's too difficult. It should be something easy. Like, the question could be, they write down 5 prophets. So somebody goes to them. And it's nothing to do with your lesson, but they already know the routine. So there's something that will stop 75% of shh, be quiet, put away, come on. Because everyone knows the routine. And that should be a part of the behavior thing. And then you can say, well, what are the rules for today? And that's it. You might think you're losing learning time, but you're definitely not. Because there'll be more progress in the lesson, hopefully, than normal. Okay. So effective entry into the classroom is very important. Okay, the teacher and the child, and like I said, I'm going to move on from this because your bond is actually very important and how you get through it. Now, we're not going to cover this. I've just left it here for you to read, and I'll go through this. And this is a number of ways to build a strong and respectful relationship with the class. These include the following. So, be a positive role model, create a caring, relaxed, supportive environment, Recognize every child and believe that every child is ability to learn. Don't look at a child and say, you'll never get it. You're not going to get there. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, don't ever say that to a child. Yeah? Even in schools. I'm going to tell you a fact, a statistical fact. A student that's born in, say they all in year 9, a student that's born in September and a student born in July, they're both in year 9. The student born in September is going to get a better grade than the student in July because he's older. So please don't ridicule any students. This is why it's more difficult for the students who are born in May, June, July to get the same results as someone who were born earlier in the year. Okay? It's just a statistical fact. Just because of where they were born. So please do not make fun of students and don't have a growth mindset that you can do this. And this is why I say you need to make the attitude of a lifelong learner. Then, he didn't get this. And sometimes we're all human beings and we're going to make these mistakes. We're all going to make these mistakes. I'm going to make these mistakes. But take a step back. Because it's not, remember, don't lose your mind. Yep. It's not your kids. Okay, take time to speak to each child. Discuss classroom rules, understand clearly what is expected of them, and use reprimands, never embarrass or ridicule the children. This is why it's important that you have sanctions that you all agree on. And that way you can all know that this is too far. If someone says, if you start shouting and start saying you will never learn this, or you are not going to come, I'm going to ring your parents, and all he did was talk, and the teacher over here, student spoke, and all he did was say, you lose 5 minutes of break time, you need to make it consistent. This is why the behaviour management and what you guys agree on is the most important part. And you have to feel like the students, you can run a session, maybe 5 minutes when you start, say, boys and girls, like, what is a good behaviour strategy? And they can give you all their ideas, you write it down. And some of them might be great. And then when you go in together as your group, you work out which is good and which one you're going to reject. But at the end, you're going to say, look, we listened to you, and these are the rules that we have. Again, try to make it easy. And try to have just a chat whenever you can with them. Okay, this is my quick test. Knowing your children. Okay, by default, everyone put your hand up. So keep your hands up if you know how many students you teach. 15. Okay, good. Okay, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Everyone else keep. This is upper body strength exercise now. Okay, keep your hands up if you know all your students' names. Yeah, perfect. Keep your hands up if you know their age. Oh, okay. So, some of you guys tell you cool. Keep your hands if you know how many brothers and sisters they have. Okay. Keep your hands up if you know they have pets, mostly like the cats. Keep your hands up if you know their hobbies. Marsha, you guys are very good. And keep your hands up if you know their favourite sports team. Yes, sir. Okay, good. Okay. That just shows you might have had some interaction with students, yeah? Knowing their name is probably the most important one, okay? If you don't, you can't say oi boy, oi, whatever, you have to say their name, yeah? Your name is special, yeah? You have to learn to pronounce it properly as well. Yeah. There might be students who come from other countries, okay? And you can't call them shortly, you have to try your best, yeah? Their name was given to them, you have to have that right, you got to do it in a nice way. And you can't, be, I try my best. Do your best to know their names. And all these others is just an example, shows me and shows you that you've had a conversation with students beyond this. Yeah?
The relation will be very...
Yeah, like I said, you need to know something about your students, okay? You can't, if they think, so I'm not telling you to this, but if they, let's say you start Arsenal and Arsenal lost and he's an Arsenal fan, you can say, oh, you had a bad weekend. He already thinks, oh my gosh, the mum has taken some time to think about me and made a joke. Yeah? No, I'm not telling you when to go watch football. I'm just saying, have a conversation and find out what it is. If they've got a cat, oh, how's your cat going? If you're scratching, well, cats are bad. Whatever it is, you have to find something to make you feel like, that student will feel like, wow, the teacher actually knows me. Yep? And you'll have a better relationship. And these are some of the, like I said, we don't celebrate birthdays, we'll take out the second one there. But ultimately, if you look at foods, dislikes, their idea for masjid trip. How many mosque do trips? I don't think there is any, so I put something in there. Yeah.
We are looking into that, inshallah.
We
are planning to take kids to graveyard visit, Muslim graveyard in Hainaut.
Sure.
We were planning last year coming year, inshallah.
Yeah, like I said, a masjid trip. I'm not saying to go to Umrah, mashallah, if you can do that, fantastic, but I say little local trips as your reward. going to East London Mosque maybe, or going to the honey where they have on the top. I'm just guessing.
Cambridge Mosque.
Cambridge Mosque, yeah, checking that out. Something different that they can look forward to, which could be linked to the reward. And when it comes to the time of the reward, the students who are going to do well, you're also going to take them.
Admin, highlight that one, please.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
The students who are going to do well, this is the key part.
Authorities.
Last minute, you're going to have a goodwill and you're going to take the students who do well. You're going to take everyone. You're not going to make anyone feel bad, you're going to take everyone. You're not going to tell them that, okay? You'll take everyone to the limits. And this is probably an idea. Or if they go for holidays, or if you know they were bunking last weekend, they went to their auntie's house, you can say, what did you eat in their house? All these kind of stuff, right? I'll say to a kid, you know, you bunked my lesson, where did you go? Biryani Friday? Because he misses every Friday. So you have to think about is how to have a conversation with your students. Now sometimes there's language barriers. Yes, absolutely. Okay? We have teachers from all around the world.
Also, a teacher cannot communicate.
Yeah.
This is one of the.
But if a teacher who couldn't communicate tried their best to communicate with me, am I going to appreciate it? Of course. I would appreciate it more. Yeah? Because he's going out his way or she's going out his way to communicate with me, and that's like, well, he's interested in my life. Then I'm going to start thinking, why is he interested in my life? Am I doing something wrong? You know, it depends which way it goes. Okay. Inappropriate behaviour. Okay, so we're gonna, inshallah, we're gonna do a little bit of role play in a minute with this other part, which is the key part to it all. But there are gonna be inappropriate behaviours, okay? Bullying, shouting, crying, disrespectful behaviour, frustration, anxiety, attention seeking, okay? These are all these things that are going to happen, especially after the age of 8 or 9. They're gonna push boundaries. They're gonna push boundaries. They may not push the boundaries with you, because they have you a short time, and everyone by default, when they go to the mosque, they're nice, but you know, they may start pushing boundaries. And this is where I'm telling you, don't lose your heads, follow your school rules, and don't go beyond it. And encourage and praise, okay? Encourage and praise. Attention seeking, you know, joking around, you have people who might mimic your accent. Don't let him do that. Stop him straight away, tell his parents straight away. Some actions, as much as saying praise and being nice, some things you just need to put a stop to. Okay? The class clown, he needs to be stopped straight away. Yep. You need to tell his parents. You need to say, look, the expectation are these 5 things. Your son is falling short, or your daughter is falling short. Yep. They don't wear appropriate, you know, something to stand out. Yep. They do something to mess up your lesson. Yep. When you start, you tell them to write something, they don't do it. You need to fix these things. You need to have a painful 5-6 weeks where you are on them, and then you notice and you're consistent, and it'll go. But you have to be consistent. Okay, when you're not consistent, that's what goes wrong. And like I said, all inappropriate behaviour you have to address. Ultimately, though, you need to clarify what is good behaviours. You don't have to highlight all the inappropriate behaviours. Don't go through a list of inappropriate, because then it'll be like a test. Which one can I do? You have to highlight good behaviours you want. So when we talk about clarifying behaviours, what do we want? And it shouldn't be anything too difficult. Okay, the use of praise. So we spoke about this before. Don't call a child a hooligan. The child will likely behave like a hooligan in the future, and it becomes terms of ridicule that can backfire. If you say things to him, oh, you know, you're I can't think of something right now, but if you said something to him, and the other kids may jump on and they tease him with the words you used. Okay? So let's just say, you know, you act like a donkey. The rest of the class might say, donkey, 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 donkey when you're not around. Yeah? And these are the things you need to avoid. Yes?
Well, what about word like you can't do it things that
Any conversation you have with a child, I would say have it outside. If it's a negative conversation, do it outside. And if you're saying, like I said, if you're saying, don't use the words that you agree to use. So when you have your behaviour things, the 6 things you said, if you say, look, you're not following this one here where you're meant to be not talking, or you are pushing and touching each other, which we agreed you're not going to do. So try to avoid. But different kids are sensitive to different things. Okay? You can tell my son he's a donkey, he'll laugh it off. Yeah? But if I say to another boy, you're a donkey, he's going to go home, he's going to be ridiculously offended, So just a general rule, I'd say legal. Yeah, there's no point. Yeah, you want to be a role model, not their best friend. Okay, you want to be a role model, not their best friend. You can joke, but like I said, just keep it halal. You don't want to get mum said, keep it halal. Okay. Don't. Yeah. Some teachers inadvertently destroy their relationships with individuals or whole class of children through their own negative reactions or overreactions. These should be avoided at all times, and once a relationship is broken, it's much harder to fix. Yep. Some teachers regularly spoil their own relationship with children by sending out mixed or confusing messages, by shouting at them and then praising them. It just, like I said, you have to avoid all this. Okay, you have to avoid it. You've got the handout here, which says. So don't say things like this. You are just like your older brother. You could never behave either. Like I said, all these kind of things are things that you have to avoid. Don't compare students. Or if they had an older sibling or younger sibling who are good, don't say, "Oh, Yusuf is very good, but why are you not good?" These are all things that will tarnish your relationship with students. Okay, because you already play favoritism. Do not rip up children's work. I've seen this happen myself. I'm sure it doesn't happen here. Do not have an argument with their parents or carers in the classroom. If you're going to talk to them and you know it's going to be, you sometimes can't avoid these conversations. You have to have the conversations with their parents. Have the conversations, but not in earshot of the kids. You have to have it away. And most of the time, you'll be respectful anyway. Don't tell the head teacher your views on the child in front of the classmates. So let's say a senior teacher walks into the room. Let's say their mums walk into the room and you're talking to their teachers. Don't embarrass the student in front of the imams. Yeah? Because you are important, but they also understand seniority. They will now avoid the imam at all costs. You don't want that. Yeah.
So if you wanted to address the child's behaviour, but you want the child to acknowledge the behaviour, so you're talking to the parent, how would you not do it in front of the child then?
Why would you want to do it in front of the child?
So they acknowledge their behaviour as well.
Okay. And this is something that people fall short on. I would never have that conversation in front of the child. I would never ever have it with the child there. Because you're like, I've told you off, now I'm going to embarrass you in front of your dad or your mum.
It's not about embarrassing, it's more about having that conversation about...
Sure, but you can definitely have that conversation with the parent and say about the behaviour, but the child doesn't have to be there.
Some parents, they think the child always behaves well, so that they come to me and tell me they don't behave like that. But then
absolutely. Every kid in school, parents have got a different idea about the kids are like at home. But I'm saying, let's say you're talking about a young girl, you can talk about a young girl with the parent, absolutely you should, but the young girl doesn't have to be there. Because they can go home and have that conversation, they live together.
But the issue of what teacher trying to say,
sure.
The child might go home and might say, "Mom, teacher's lie. I've never done that."
Absolutely, and then the parent will come and speak to you. And then
the parent might not come back ever again. And then now, in parent mind, they're thinking teacher is a lie, teacher is wrong. So what?
Okay, so this is just a fact that happens. I'll go and ring the parent and say, "Look, your son is messing around." The kid will say, "I wasn't messing around. He always confuses me. He always picks on me. He's racist." Okay, let's just say you've gone that far, even though he's Bengali. I'm racist, right? He's gone that far. Now, I don't know that. The parents, it's the parent. If he's a good parent, they'll come and say to me, "My son said this," and then you can clarify the actions. But I'm saying that example you gave me is an extreme example. The normal example would be, you don't want to ruin the relationship with the kid. He or she made that one mistake. Now, if the kid goes home and says, "I never did that," then fine, you sit them both together, and you bring a senior person, and you sit them together and say, "Well, I've said that you've done this. You've told your parents you've done this. Where do we go from here?" That will be a meeting.
Okay.
But you don't want to have, every child will go home and say, "I didn't do it, the teacher just picks on me." But you don't want to ruin the relationship by embarrassing the kid, because you have to see the kid for the rest of the year. And
so you're suggesting this incident shouldn't take place very often. It should be just one-off after a very long time. And
so for example, let's say that the student slapped another kid in the classroom. Okay, clearly wrong. You're now going to speak to the parent for sure. Okay, and you're going to speak to the parent and you're going to explain that Simon slapped the other student in the classroom. The parent will have a conversation. The girl will say, "I never did it. The teacher's lying." Now the parent has to make the choice now, is whether they come and see you, because you've done your bit. Now if their kid says, oh, the teacher's lying and the parent wants to complain, then that's perfect, because that's the opportunity for you to all sit down and the parent finally has their eyes open what the kids are like in the class. But what you have to be careful of is not ruining your relationship. So sometimes what happens is this. I'm an SLT member in my school, and the kids are messing around in the class. I go to the classroom, I take the kid out, I say to him, why do you mess around? So the teacher then comes out and goes, oh, he's a bad example, oh, he's done this, and he does this all the time. I'm sick and tired of the way he acts. So I've done it, the teacher's done it, then the parent's going to do it, and all three people have just attacked this one kid for whatever the reason is. Like I said to you, just take a step back. If the problem happens again, address it again, but you want to have a long term, for the long term, you're better to do it slowly than instead of just keep insisting and having you don't want to fight, you don't want to fight, you don't want the argument. Because what if the kid says in front of the parents, no, you're lying, miss, you always pick on me. It's just an awkward conversation. It's better, what you notice is when there's something that goes wrong, it's always better to give space. And everyone is more reflective with a bit of space. But again, what I'm saying to you is just a general advice. You have to work it out. If it's dangerous, you need to speak to the parents straight away. We'll cover some other stuff in a bit, but you have to kind of work it out yourself. But I'll say to you, when you can not embarrass the kids, always take the opportunity. Yep.
Sure, one quick question.
Sure.
When can we involve senior teachers? Can we involve senior teachers every nitty-gritty issues or?
Absolutely not.
So give us
No.
some advice.
So I would say to you, if it's your classroom, you're in charge. If you keep going to other people, all the kids see you as a weakness. All the kids will not respect you. So we have teachers who, for everything that happens in the classroom, Mr. Hussein come down, okay, I can deal with it. I have no issue dealing with it. Because it'll build my relationship with the kids. But you are now seen as a weak teacher, whether you like to admit it or not. However you feel, you need to sort out your classroom. It's your classroom. You have authority in that room. And if you can't have authority in that room, you need to work on techniques that does have authority. Now, for every single thing, you might not be able to do it. Absolutely. I need help sometimes. Everyone needs help. But I'm saying, if they're talking, if they're doing low-level disruption, and you can work out what low-level disruption is in your class, if that's something you need to address, if it gets to the point of fighting, or it gets to the point of dangerous, then I'll get a senior teacher involved. Or if it's continuous low-level disruption, weeks on end, and you talk to this kid about the way he slaps other kids, the way he says stuff, then that's when you involve a senior teacher and parents. But remember, like I highlighted before, did you speak to the parents? And if you haven't spoken to the parents, nothing's really going to change.
What about the bullying?
Absolutely. Bullying is something that you need to stop straight away. But bullying isn't always bullying. And I'm going to explain this to you. Bullying is something that's systemic, that happens every single time. He comes in and he calls me a donkey, gives me a punch, every single time. I said to him, you look ugly. That's not bullying. There has to be a clarification between teasing and saying mean things and bullying. Bullying is something that happens over time, continuously. And sometimes kids will say bullying when they mean something different. So you need to clarify what's happening. Do you have a bullying problem, or do you have kids that tease each other? Now, if you've got a bullying problem, you need to address it. And every place should think bullying happens here. Then you should have ways to stop it. If there's teasing, then that's something different. It's not bullying. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, some student said to other students who are black, so that's racism. That's racist.
Yeah, it's a racist, absolutely. And they'll say, oh, you're darker than me, so you're this. I'm bald. All these things will happen.
Sorry.
But you have to address it. But if it's racism, if it's genuine racism, then you need to address it with a senior teacher for sure. But if it's teasing, then you need to deal with it. But there's so many things out there you need to work out. Like I said to you, if you say to my son he's a donkey, he'll laugh it off. Another kid is being bullied. So you need to work out in your place what is bullying and what isn't. But ultimately, if you have a good set of rules, both of them are negative. If your rules say don't be mean to each other, and they said black or whatever they said, we've broken that rule, and then you can reinforce the behaviour. Like, that's why the behaviour policy is important. Yep.
So what if you did involve parents, senior teachers, but then the behaviour isn't changing, they're just challenging you?
And this is where I think as a team you need to make a conversation with that parent that along the line that this student cannot be here. But that's the last resort. That's the last resort. Kids will do much better if you can tolerate, I know it sounds like they're selling out here, but if you can tolerate them being in the school, they will learn. If you kick them out, where are they going to go? So the more you keep them here, grudgingly, the better they will do. So in a state school, for example, we avoid expelling students because he's just going to go into crime. You know, not in a horrible way. He's got no other avenues. He can't go to another school. So we're better off saving him by being here. But if he's disrupting your lesson you just can't tolerate, then as a senior leadership you need to make a decision. And sometimes, like I said, you have to balance. Is he or she going too far and we can't control it or we can't have it? Or is she or she, maybe I could be a bit more relaxed? If they're crossing the line all the way, they need to go. But you need to figure that out yourselves. Okay? But where you can keep them, try to keep them, because on the long run, the relationship, long-term learning, bigger picture, and not emotional, where you can build it. Okay. So I'm going to quickly just go through this. This is the research that teachers are empathetic, they can trust, have a sense of humour, encourage and promote interesting discussions, teach well at all times, give children praise, show they like and understand children, are warm, show they enjoy their job, are consistent, treat children with respect, create a sense of freedom in class, listen to the children's views and act accordingly, vary their teaching styles, and can laugh at themselves. So this is what students tend to like. There have been other things that
we have to learn to laugh at ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely. You know, I teach computer science and sometimes I make a mistake. I don't pretend I got it right. I'll just say, oh yeah, I did that on purpose. They know I'm lying. You need to say, oh, you know, okay, you have to say yes. You have to learn to laugh at yourself, okay? And you can't be on your phone, okay? You can't be on your phones, okay? We have this habit of our phones, and we're very important people, but we can't be on our phones because the kids need to feel like you want to be there. They may feel like they're not. They may feel like.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, our respected chairman of the masjid here, alhamdulillah, he will sit here inshallah, and after when you take a pause, he will give us 5 minutes talk inshallah.
Okay, sure.
Please sit down.
Yeah, so like I said, you need to be a bit more reflective and take it easy and let students enjoy the lessons wherever you can. At the same time, progress and learning has to happen. Like I said, vary the way you do things. If it's the same thing every single time, to start off the lesson is great, but maybe have different activities and so on. Just a quick thing about tests. GCSEs, you know, they make or break students. Yep. Their futures are completely aligned by it for some parents. Yep. The mosque, when they give tests, shouldn't be the same level of pressure. There should be, like, maybe show them the questions you're going to ask them, and then based on it, you want them to progress. The idea of the test, in my opinion, should be that they feel good, that they learn some things. It shouldn't be a blind test, and there should be loads of time ahead, because they shouldn't feel the equal amount of pressure all the way through. Now, again, all students are different. I have students in my school who wake up every morning at 4:30 in the morning to about 6:30. They go to the mosque, they recite Quran, they learn the Quran, and after school they do another 2 hours at the mosque. Not every kid's going to be at that level, and you need to make these tests, you know, encouraging and exciting and rewarding, and more likely that they will pass than they will fail. Yeah, because they can't name all the prophets. If you know, in year 6 class, maybe they got to remember 3. In another class, got to remember 5. You've got to, like I said, manage your expectations. But ultimately, you want to try and have some. You can't have all of them, and you can't. Maybe you're not that way inclined, but you need your best to be see the kids in front of you. Okay. Like I said, this is something I think you need to be aware of, and something that you are maybe not understanding. Like I said, I'll try and wrap up in 10 minutes, inshallah. Is that children could be going through some stuff in their homes. the parents might be going through a divorce. One of the parents may be into substance abuse. The times right now where the bills are so high, some students are not eating at home. They might not have clean clothes. They might not have parents that are in the house. They may not have, like I said, many things going on. Yesterday I was in a Light and Light conference in Excel, and there's a young boy that turned up with his uncle. I know that man was uncle because his mum and dad are separated, and his mum's got a boyfriend and all these other things going on. So you've got to think, these are Muslim kids who have parents or boyfriends and girlfriends, who are going through separation, who have substance use, but the uncle is sending the kid to the mosque, and he's coming here and you have no idea. So you have to think about there's some stuff going on in the house that you are not aware of, and you can't even fathom. There's some things you will not be able to fathom, and you don't have to, but you have to think. Like I said, don't get enraged. And the kids like rules. Kids love rules. So if you stick to your rules, you're going to be absolutely fine.
Sure.
Okay, the last one is the bit I wanted you guys to have a quick one. Let's go through. This is to manage restorative conversations. So, it's all gone wrong. The kids are, you and this kid are just, he's done something wrong in the classroom. Okay, you're now going to have to have this conversation. And it's called a restorative conversation. It may be you have a restorative conversation with the two students that went wrong, or between yourself and the student. If you and the student have gone wrong, you as the grown-up, as a teacher, need to fix the relationship. You need to see them the next day, or whenever you see them next, and restore your relationship. If you give someone negative, you need to restore the relationship. You need to restore the relationship. They're children. You need to restore the relationship. And this is what we were talking about the low level. Picking up your own tab. Something goes wrong in your classroom, you sort it out. You don't call everyone else yet. You sort it out. You address it. Because it's clear to everyone that you don't deal with this. You have said as much. Like I said, class students up the hierarchy for them to be dealt with by someone else works against a certain thing that you're trying to create. The kids are not comfortable with you. They don't trust you because every time something happens, you call someone else. Yep. You have to be the authority figure to the best of your ability in the classroom. Now, like I said, everyone needs help and support, but it can't be the first thing you do is call someone else. You deal with your own baggage first. Okay, and like I said, when should you have restorative? When trust is broken, the behaviour is falling behind minimum standards, tempers are frayed, manners have disappeared, and something has been said that should not have been. This is when you should have a restorative conversation. So if you said to the student, you didn't do your homework, negative, I'm going to call you dad, that's not restorative conversation, that's everything. When you've gone too far, or they've gone too far, or if they've been extremely rude. If they've been extremely rude to you, like I said, you manage it, but give space, and the next day you can say to them, why did that happen? And then give it space, always give space. When the tempers get flared, always give space. You don't want to sort things out straight away. And these are the 6 questions you can ask, it's in your pack. What happened? What were you thinking at the time? What have you thought since? Who has been affected? How have they been affected? And how can we do things differently in the future? So one thing that we always say, what happened? We're all going to say that. What we never say is, what were you thinking at the time? And what have you thought since? So when, let's say a student said a rude word to you, the next thing you're going to say, what happened? You're going to say, he's probably just going to say, I'm so sorry. That's not enough. You need to say, what happened? And he'll say, okay, I swore. What were you thinking at the time? Oh, I was so under pressure, I'm just angry. And then you can go and, what have you thought since? And this is the most important part. This is the bit where the students reflected on their behaviour. If they haven't had time to reflect on their behaviour, or they don't know why, then you're not going to get anywhere. You can't just tell kids off. They need to know why they're in trouble, and they need to tell you why they're in trouble. If you said, oh, you've been talking too much, they might not realise they've been talking too much, so they need to be understanding why they're doing it. Who has been affected? So when you swore at me, who did it affect? They'll be like, it affected our relationship, yeah, it affected you, I really respect you, and so on. So what you want the kids to be is reflective, and avoid the same flaws again. And how can you improve things in the future? This is something you need to discuss. I was going to do some role plays, but I think what I'll do, like I said, this is some things here. If you try to speak to a student and the student can't explain themselves, you can use this example. Is how angry were you at 1 to 10? You know, if they can't explain it. 10. That's fine, you know they're very angry. Oh, I was only angry at 2. Offer some time. If they don't want to talk to you straight away, give it a bit of time. Okay? Offer support, demonstrate best practices, and paint a picture. Imagine you need to sit with, don't know about the last example here, it's not a great example, but imagine, you know, I go into the classroom again and we try to do this lesson. You stop me from everyone's learning. How can we make this go better in the future? You want them to give you an answer. Whether you can actually follow through with the exact answer, no, but what you can do is the next time you see them lesson, say, remember you said to give you one chance, I'm giving you that one chance now, and we agreed to this, and now they're accountable. Okay? I won't do the scenario, and like I said, just in general, I'll leave it on this slide here. Do not sit behind on your desk. However irritated you are with the behaviour, focus on the outcome you want. Reserve enough time for the meeting. There's no need for notes. Leave the door open. Feel free to answer the questions yourself too, and to avoid judgment language if only you get a defensive response. Resist any interruption and end the meeting in a positive manner. So when you do have these conversations, issue do not have the barrier between yourselves. Have a bit of space and leave the door open. Yeah, it's just the way we are. Okay. Hope everyone found that kind of interesting. I'm sorry if I went through some stuff. Try and make more interactive next time, but we'll leave it.
Really,
Yeah, so
very nice. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for your
Thank you very much.
Take your rest, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, respected brothers and sisters. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for attending our today's teacher training. And alhamdulillah, we are blessed to have our uncle Atif Miyasab, is our chairman of the masjid. He came from all the way from Poplar. He normally doesn't pray Isha in this masjid on Mondays. He comes on Tuesdays, but today he came on Monday just for the teachers program. Today is Tuesday.
Only he has come for our
Then he's going to go Quran as well. MashaAllah. He definitely came early for our teachers program, alhamdulillah. So we really say thank you to him, Jazakumullah khairan, and we will listen to a few blessing words from him, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan, Imam Sheikh Abu Yahya. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Just to the training, teachers training, and all our respected Imam and teachers in Shahporan Masjid. Alhamdulillah, today is a wonderful day for me because of reason is this institution is need to teacher training, especially for because this relation between child, parents, institution. So all the community will be benefit from this teacher training because teacher deliberately teach with the child is very difficult. Children control is very hard. So I'd like to thank especially trainers who giving the training today. Also our respected Imam, teachers, female, male. Thank you for all is here today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to run this masjid. Just like a mainstream school. Mainstream school, every year they training teachers after this, the New Year's start term. So we are unable to training the teachers because last 3-4 years ago, I think, I forget about the time, in Council of Mosque, sometimes they invited our mosque to teacher training day. So we go to our teachers, Imam, to go there and they will give you the teacher training. So, alhamdulillah, today we are here. So it is one of the extra benefit from the Shahporan Masjid. We can say to the old parents, our teacher now is very skilled and they training to teacher training, they receive all guidelines to the how to deliver the teaching with the children. So alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also I say to everyone, Mr. Imam, imam and teachers and trainers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability. The Islamic institution is very difficult in this country because they are always watching how to we teach the child. Children is very difficult. Sometimes if one of the child is very hostile, so can't control boy or girls, it's difficult. He going to our side, he's shouting, sometimes he's going to complain to the against teachers. It's very sensitive area, especially for the Islamic institution. So Alhamdulillah, today we are successfully, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, next time inshallah, same year maybe, or 2 years after that, I don't know how long will this certificate.
We're planning to do every year, Sir.
Every year, inshallah.
And we want to turn Shahporan Masjid as a teachers training center for all our madrasas.
Alhamdulillah, the great news.
That's our intention, and Saad's intention.
So, I thanks to our education
I think every 6 months.
secretary, he is very, very active. He look after his teachers, he give us all the information. So I'm very happy to him. Allah is going to give him ability to run this project. Allah give me chance. Thank you for all tendency. So inshallah next year will be again. Allah is going to give us a life to reach the next years.
Ameen. So, Alhamdulillah, respected brothers and sisters. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, sorry, I'm quite tall, that's why light comes on my face. So Alhamdulillah, we were the students today. Alhamdulillah, yes, learning never ends. Remember one thing, many of us, our beards gone white or grey, but that doesn't mean we have learned everything. Prophet ﷺ became prophet at the age of 40. So Prophet ﷺ learning began at the age of 40. Are you understanding? Look at this, think about this properly. At the age of 40, he's a beginner. And at the age of 63, he completed his graduation. He completed his studies at the age of 63. And once a prophet's finished his graduation, he doesn't need to be in this world. They go back to Allah. So while he was learning, he was teaching. And he was progressing and improving everything and passing down everything to others. So we are learners and we will continue learning. Never think I'm an imam and I'm getting salary 50,000, so I don't need to learn anymore. No, that doesn't work. When you are a great person, you need to learn more and more to remain on that level. So inshallah we will continue learning. And the best thing today, we have our education. School president, we don't do much for you.
No, nothing like that. Thank you. How are you?
This is very special. I did say that all I wanted was du'as, and that was the charge.
We will remember you in our
That was the
prayers.
charge, if we remember it. So
Don't forget
this
us.
is not taken away from my dua.
Yes, definitely. By the way, he's not charging us anything. Yes, so everybody please make sincere dua for Brother Zakir and his family.
Long life.
Alhamdulillah, we've got two outside teachers. One is from Shahporan Masjid, one is from Roman Road Masjid. And we have made some certificates for the participants. And we'd like to call our imams and teachers to collect your certificates from our
They go the way going. As they going, they collect their certificate. You just give us an
We will also take some pictures for
Oh, you have to take the pictures. Then have the fun. Then give it.